Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Early Edition.
Children was upstairs. Howling, help.
We were just pulling debris and telling people, yell out.
This morning, the search for survivors continues after a devastating explosion in northwest Baltimore levels 3 row homes. At this hour, we know 1 person is dead. We know there are 7 others injured. The blast behind the Reisterstown Plaza complex could be felt as far as several miles away. And right now, the cause remains unknown. Thank you for waking up with us on this Tuesday, August 11th. I'm Megan Gilland. In just a few minutes, we're going to have live team coverage on that explosion. But first, let's get a look at the weather with meteorologist Jonathan Myers and the forecast. Jonathan.
I didn't know what was going on. We were just simply terrified.
1 person dead, at least 7 others hurt after a massive explosion in northwest Baltimore leaves rescue crews still here at this hour searching through the rubble nearly a day later. We've got some helicopter video here. This really shows you the scope of that devastation there. The exact cause still unknown here at this hour, and fire officials say they won't even start their investigation until the rescue efforts end. This morning, we have live team coverage for you on the explosion. We have Rachel Aragon taking a look at the efforts to help those being impacted. But first, Elijah Westbrook live with the latest on the rescue efforts underway right now. Elijah. Meantime, BGE says crews will continue to inspect gas mains in that area. In the latest update, the company says, quote, no gas readings were found in any of the buildings and no leaks were found on the Labyrinth Road gas main or services. BGE says gas services are now off for a portion of Labyrinth Road, and damaged power lines that in that area have also been repaired. BGE says that residents affected by the explosion should call them at that number on your screen, 1-800-685-0123 to report it. Heart-wrenching sound of grief as a woman learns what happened. Take a look at this. Another picture of just heartbreak after the blast. A sign saying "Home Sweet Home" on the ground amid wood chips and broken glass. One woman tells Fox 45 her father was trapped when the explosion shifted his home's foundation. Now her parents say they will not be returning until they learn exactly what happened here and why.
They just don't want to risk it, and I don't want my parents in here risking it at all either.
Well, some neighbors say that their homes now smell of gas and decided to stay at a hotel for the night. Right now, the Red Cross is offering hotel rooms for many of these families. Some of them plan to stay as long as a week. Rachel Aragon live at the Reisterstown Plaza near the explosion site with how you can help. Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. This morning, we are hearing more from state and city leaders about the explosion. In a statement, Delegate Nick Mosby says, quote, I want to commend the efforts of our first responders whose actions undoubtedly saved lives and quickly established order on the scene. This community and the affected families have a long road ahead of them, and I know that all of Baltimore stands united to help this community recover. Records show the row homes leveled in this explosion were built in the 1960s. The type of structure is known as a masonry home, which is stronger than a wood frame. But some are questioning if aging infrastructure, including piping, might have added in what went wrong. One expert says that would be rare, and the only way to find out would be to lift the rubble layer by layer.
Trying to figure out, piece this together piece by piece of the remaining gas pipings within the structure as well to try to determine the actual cause of the incident.
Experts say because gas is heavier than air and rests in the lowest areas, the home's basements could end up being the focus.
If you go down to our row houses in the city, frequently if somebody's smoking on one side of the wall and you're standing on the other side, you'll smell it, just because there's natural leaks that come through all those little break joints. It could be that all 3 basements were saturated. It could be that just one basement had the natural gas in it, and when it blew, it just took the other 2 buildings with it.
We will have continuing team coverage of the deadly explosion in northwest Baltimore all morning long. You can watch it right here or follow the latest on foxbaltimore.com. Researchers are looking into which masks best protect against the coronavirus. We're going to break down what they found. And after a dry day, rain is possibly returning today. We're looking into the chances. 4:37 now on Fox 45 Early Edition.
Welcome back, everybody. Time now about 4:40, and it starts warm, ends hot today. Take a look. By noontime, we're already at 88 Baltimore, 83 at Annapolis. Look at these low 90s at 2:30, 92 Baltimore, 92 at Columbia. But some of those cooler numbers you see at 4:30 could indicate maybe a shower or storm. We're going to be tracking that on the Future Scan coming up in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Jonathan. 4:40 and in your morning health alert. A new study is shedding light on which masks work best when it comes to the coronavirus protections. Researchers at Duke testing 14 different kinds of masks, seeing which ones release the most droplets. They found that N95 masks work best, and bandanas and fleece masks do not work well. Researchers say fleece masks are the most harmful because of the size of droplets that it lets through.
The material itself, that is just made a little bit more transparent, a little bit more transmissive to these droplets. In addition, there's of course lots of gaps.
What's noticeable here is that you see lots of particles and lots of little particles. So this is actually counterproductive because the little particles that get generated from big particles, they tend to hang around longer in the air. They can get carried away easier in the air.
While N95 masks work the best, experts say that they should be safe for healthcare workers. Standard surgical masks also work well. More than 97,000 children in the U.S. tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 2 weeks of July. That's according to a new report from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association. The numbers in the report represent a 40% increase in child cases across the states and cities included in the study. The age range for children differed by state. Some define children as 14 years or younger. In Alabama, it included people 24 and younger. It is National Immunization Awareness Month, and Governor Hogan is encouraging Marylanders to get vaccinated. Hogan says even though people are reluctant to venture out, it is important to keep all vaccinations up to date as a way to protect everyone. According to the Maryland Department of Health, childhood vaccinations have fallen since the start of COVID-19. Still ahead, continuing coverage on the massive gas explosion in Northwest Baltimore. You're going to hear from a neighbor who sprung into action to save someone's life. But first, how an upcoming political choice could make history. 4:42, you're watching Fox 45 Early Edition. It is 4:45. It should be a pivotal week in the race for the White House as we expect Joe Biden to unveil his running mate, and it could have historic implications. That's because if Biden were to win, we would likely have the first female vice president in U.S. history. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman shows us how much is riding on this decision. Governor Larry Hogan approves the State Board of Elections plan to create voting centers, despite what he says are serious concerns about the proposal. Hogan's decision gives the board authority to move forward with the voting center plan as an alternative to opening roughly 1,600 polling places this fall because of a lack of poll workers. The voting centers, unlike polling places, could be used by any voter in a county and would be in public high schools across the state. Hogan has said that he's worried reducing the number of open polls on Election Day could create unsafe conditions and long lines for voters. Well, take a look at this here. We've got some severe thunderstorms tearing through the Midwest. My goodness. This morning, Iowa residents, they're left cleaning up some damage after a series of storms with winds hitting 100 miles per hour, making its way through. The storm, the winds ripped trees from the ground, knocked down power lines and damaged homes and businesses. The storm is being considered a derecho, and that's a fast-moving group of severe thunderstorms. 100 miles an hour, though. Unbelievable. Meteorologist Jonathan Myers joining us to weigh in on that. That's substantial.
Yeah, you bet. I mean,
chaos on Capitol Hill. Secret Service agents open up about what happened during a shooting around the White House. But first, some new information about the woman who allegedly shredded documents in the city comptroller's office. 4:52 on Fox 45 Early Edition. 4:55 in a city in crisis. We are learning more about the ex-employee at City Hall who allegedly shredded documents in the city comptroller's office while the comptroller is under federal investigation. Harriet Taylor served as Joan Pratt's deputy controller for more than 2 decades. She retired earlier this year after the U.S. Department of Labor opened an investigation into wage hours and practices inside the comptroller's office. Now, an email from the Baltimore Law Department says that Taylor is back at City Hall, allegedly shredding documents.
Once you start shredding documents, it's no longer just a civil investigation. Under federal law, whether it's a civil investigation or a criminal investigation, if you are interfering with an active investigation, that is potential criminal exposure.
Councilman Bill Henry, who defeated Joan Pratt in this summer's primary election, is also responding. He says, quote, "This is very disappointing. I look forward to the comptroller's office being run in a far more transparent and open fashion." Joan Pratt has not commented on the allegations. Baltimore mayoral candidates laying out their plans to deal with squeegee kids. Violent confrontations between squeegee kids and drivers have become common in Baltimore. Just this past weekend, some squeegee kids threw rocks at a driver's car after she wouldn't pay them. Independent candidate Bob Wallace says he wants to create a task force to put squeegee workers into fair-paying jobs or back into the education system. Republican Shannon Wright thinks therapeutic boarding schools could be part of the solution for squeegee workers without families. Meantime, Baltimore City Council President and Democratic candidate for Mayor Brandon Scott sent us a statement saying in part, quote, "We cannot criminalize panhandling. However, if anyone squeegeeing commits a crime like assault or property damage, that crime should be handled with the seriousness it deserves." A 39-year-old man is hurt after a shooting in East Baltimore last night. Police say they found the victim with a gunshot wound to his leg inside a vehicle on East Eager Street. This was just after 8 last night. The victim was brought to the hospital and we're told he's in good condition. Looking at 4:57 and in your morning rush, state police are searching for the suspect and vehicle involved in what they're calling a road rage shooting in Baltimore County. It happened on 95 on Sunday afternoon. Police say the gunman fired 3 shots into another vehicle. No one was hurt. The suspected vehicle is described as a black Volkswagen Jetta with a possible Maryland registration and a partial tag reported as 9C. 2 more suspects are in custody in connection with the July 3rd murder in Owings Mills. 17-year-old Awan McDaniel and 16-year-old Avion McDaniel are both facing first-degree murder charges. They are accused of shooting 31-year-old Benjamin Neffel multiple times last month. 1 more suspect was arrested right after the shooting. Video from 2 body cameras are providing additional insight into the police encounter that killed George Floyd. Body camera video from Thomas Lane shows his first encounter with Floyd when he sees Floyd in the driver's seat of his vehicle. The video shows Lane starting off as aggressive with Floyd as he repeatedly tells Floyd to show his hands. Lane and J. Alexander King were called to the scene over a report of a fake bill. The officers never explained to Floyd why they were confronting him. The video shows Floyd continues to resist demands to get out of the vehicle until they pull him out. Floyd then resists getting into the squad vehicle, saying that he's claustrophobic. It is Floyd who asks to be put on the ground outside. Lane agrees to let Floyd out when Derek Chauvin puts his knee on Floyd's neck. Chicago's mayor is rejecting calls for the National Guard to patrol Chicago in the wake of looting downtown. Hundreds of people swept through the Magnificent Mile and other parts of downtown Chicago early Monday, smashing windows, looting stores, and confronting police.
These individuals' engagement can only be described as brazen and extensive criminal looting and destruction. And to be clear, this had nothing to do with legitimate, protected First Amendment expression.
The violence comes after officers shot and hurt a suspect on Sunday. 13 officers were injured during the arrest, including a sergeant who was hit by a bottle. More than 100 people have been arrested.
A deadly gas explosion rattled this northwest Baltimore neighborhood yesterday. We'll tell you about the rescue efforts still underway.
And I'm live in Northwest Baltimore this morning to break down what the Red Cross is doing to help all those displaced by yesterday's gas explosion. Coming up, how you can help those impacted.
And likely making it a heat wave today, but will rain and thunderstorms punctuate all of this? And how about severe weather? We're going to break all of that down. My Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Early Edition.
Good morning on this Tuesday, August 11th. I'm Patrice Sanders.
I'm Megan Gillen. Tom Rogers is off this morning. We have your traffic and weather together every 10 minutes.
Let's get over to meteorologist Jonathan Myers and get a look at the forecast.
It sounded like a big explosion and just shook the house like that.
Hope continues as crews continue to search for survivors in yesterday's deadly explosion in northwest Baltimore that killed at least one person and sent 7 others to the hospital. Many homeowners say they felt the ground shake, leaving some running to help or sheltering in fear. Now, the cause of the blast is still unknown, and our team coverage continues right now. We've got Rachel Aragon taking a look at the efforts to help all of those victims. But first, Elijah Westbrook is live with the current rescue efforts and what is happening out there right now. Elijah. Once rescue and recovery efforts are over, crews will begin working to find out what caused the explosion. The head of safety and risk management company Jexcon US describes what those efforts will likely look like.
Typically what you do is you go from the outside in, so from the least damaged to the most damaged areas. And what you're looking for is there are different things. So you have supply gas piping that would be to the home. So you could do what's called bar hole testing. You're looking in the ground to see if there was anything underground that leaked into the structure. That would be one. And then you would actually then be going inside it. So you're basically collecting evidence.
Well, while many wonder what could have caused a blast, with this kind of force, the president of Jexcon US says it's unlikely it was caused by something as simple as someone leaving on a stove.
For something of this magnitude, it's typically what I would consider not just like a standard, like somebody leaving like like say you have a gas range. Mm-hmm. You just don't leave one of the stovetop burners on. That's not enough gas to cause what we're talking about. So typically it's more like a more substantive significance. So like an open gas line, somebody re-energizing a line that had been turned off.
Right now, a massive relief effort is underway to help those who cannot go back home. Rachel Aragon live at the Reisterstown Plaza near the explosion site with a look at what's being done. Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. The explosion hit on the 4-year anniversary of a deadly gas explosion in Silver Spring. On August 10th, 2016, 7 people died and many more injured in the explosion at the Flower Branch Apartments. Maryland Senators Cardin and Van Hollen are demanding to know what is being done to avoid another tragedy. They say their thoughts and prayers are with the Baltimore victims.
5:06 now, and in national news, President Trump is praising the Secret Service this morning for their quick response to a shooting outside the White House yesterday. Officials say a suspect approached a Secret Service member claiming he had a firearm. They say the suspect ran toward the officer and the officer shot him. The White House was put on lockdown.
The White House complex was never breached during the incident, nor was the Secret Service protectee ever in danger.
Both the officer and the suspect are expected to recover.
Still ahead, changes on the University of Maryland's campus, but they do not impact everyone. We're going to break it down.
But first, new charges on delivery companies, and that cost might be passed on to you. We'll explain why.
And a mild and muggy morning with temperatures in the 70s to near 80. I'll let you know if we're going to have any showers and storms to cool you off finally today. My Weather Authority forecast next. Time now 5:07. You're watching Fox 45 Early Edition. Time right now about 5:10. Welcome back, everybody. And temperatures start in the 70s this morning. Look at those low to mid 90s this afternoon. A hot one. Could even see some scattered showers and storms around. We're going to time all those out for you hour by hour. Let you know where you're going to need your umbrella most in 10 minutes.
5:11, coronavirus testing could be a must when the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line resumes sailing. According to reports, the company's CEO says testing will likely be required before cruises. Royal Caribbean is also looking into other possible safety measures, including ultraviolet light to kill the virus and modifying ships to promote social distancing. The company is hoping its U.S. ships will be back at sea in November. If you've spent the pandemic purchasing online, it may soon cost you more to have those things delivered. UPS has announced new surcharges on companies that ship more than 25,000 packages per week from November 15th through January 16th of 2021. This comes as the company anticipates rising costs as more people shop online over the holidays because of COVID-19. It's unclear whether retailers like Target, Amazon, and others will pass the added costs on to customers. Kodak stock took a big hit yesterday. Company shares plunged 40% after a $765 million federal loan was put on hold. Regulators are reportedly looking into allegations of insider trading and say Kodak won't receive the loan until the allegations are cleared. Baltimore is seeing a drop in gas prices. According to Gas Buddy, gas prices in the city are averaging $2.25. The highest price you can expect to pay at the pump is around $2.59 a gallon, with the lowest price just under $2. The race for a coronavirus vaccine continues, why some health officials are now questioning how effective it will actually be. 5:12 is the time. You're watching Fox 45 Early Edition.
It is 5:15. Johns Hopkins University is reporting a grim milestone: 20 million COVID-19 cases worldwide and almost 750,000 deaths. It took nearly 3 months to reach 10 million cases in June. That number has doubled in just 6 weeks. The rise largely in part to growing cases in Latin America, the Caribbean, and Asia. Here at home, Maryland added 922 cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to nearly 95,000. But the state also conducted a record number of tests, 40,473. And that massive number brings the state's positivity rate down to a record low below 4%. The University of Maryland will start its semester on August 31st, but is delaying undergraduate in-person learning until September 14th. It will be online for the first 2 weeks. School leaders say the delay is disappointing, but will allow them to test for the virus throughout the campus. All graduate level instruction and approved research activities will proceed as planned. All grade school students in Anne Arundel County Public Schools will start the same day, Tuesday, September 8th. Normally, 1st through 12th grade start times would be staggered. Those starting 6th grade and 9th grade would normally start early to get used to their new buildings before all students return. Because learning is virtual, though, that's just not necessary. Pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students will have a staggered start. With many looking towards the future and a potential coronavirus vaccine, both questions and concerns are being raised about the effectiveness.
But if we do get a vaccine that's at least partially protective and we can develop ways of treating this thing so it's no longer a really, really serious or lethal infection, I think we've won the battle.
It's not clear how effective this vaccine will be. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the chances of it being 98% effective are slim. The FDA has agreed it is willing to accept a safe vaccine so long as it is at least 50% effective. Well, many of you sent stunning pictures of what happened during yesterday's explosion in Northwest Baltimore. Take a look at this video here sent to us by Sharada. It looks like she is just a few homes away from the blast there. You can see obviously a lot of emergency crews, also debris on the ground right in front of her home there. And take a look at this shot here. My goodness, the blast yesterday morning broke the utility pole in the alley there. Bricks and debris just scattered everywhere. The power of the blast breaking all of the windows in the home next door. You can send, meantime, your pictures by going to foxbaltimore.com/chime in. We've got a gallery with many more of these photos online. If you'd like to see all the pictures, just go to foxbaltimore.com. 5:18. We have traffic and weather for you together every 10 minutes, starting with meteorologist Jonathan Myers. Jonathan, helping those impacted by the massive explosion in Northwest Baltimore, how you can make a difference. Plus, Ravens tackle Ronnie Stanley entering the final year of his contract, why he says all the talk about money is going to have to wait. It is 5:22 and you're watching Fox 45 Early Edition.
.24 with the college football season expected to begin in just a couple of weeks. We still aren't sure if the season is actually going to happen. According to multiple reports, the presidents from the Big Ten and Pac-12 are expected to vote today about how to move forward with the season. League presidents are considering postponing the season until the spring. Meanwhile, the NFL continues to move toward its own season. The Ravens will begin contact practices next week. Tight end Mark Andrews knows he's taking a risk being out there. He has type 1 diabetes and is at greater risk of getting COVID-19 as a result. Andrews says he's managed it his whole life and he's prepared.
Yeah, I'm a healthy person. I worked really hard, and I've worked really hard, since at a very young age of keeping my body in the best shape, keeping tight control of my blood sugar. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So, I'm basically treating myself like a normal person. I think if, I were to get it in the COVID, and if I were to have it, it would interact just like anybody else.
Well, on the offensive line, tackle Ronnie Stanley is entering the final year of his contract. Stanley is considered one of the best tackles in the league. He did not give up a sack last season and was named a first-team All-Pro. Stanley says now is the time for football. The business side of things can wait.
It's definitely, it's not really at the forefront of my mind. We're still in talks, and hopefully we're trying to get something done soon. But I think my main focus right now is just, for me, it's always been be the best player I can be, help my team win, and the money usually take care of itself after that.
Major League Baseball, meantime, considering a bubble-type format for the playoffs. According to multiple reports, the baseball playoff bubble would look similar to the NHL bubble, with hubs in a couple of different cities. Multiple teams have had their seasons postponed to deal with COVID-19 outbreaks. 16 teams will make the playoffs this season.
Another hot and humid day today, and it may be here to stay. Meteorologist Jonathan Myers is tracking how warm it will feel in your neighborhood. 5:27 is the time.